The Frames Per Second podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Frames Per Second podcast. I'm your host for the evening. This is Mike Seatown. With me, I have Rod.
What up, man?
Have Ken.
Hola.
And Spike is a little hoe and was afraid to go see this because he's afraid of clowns and he's afraid of blood. And he heard that there was a scene where there is a chainsaw in a booty hole, and Spike cannot handle that. So we have a special guest on the pod today. We have Alaska Adams. What's up, bro?
What's going on, man? Thank you for having me. I've been dying to have a conversation about this movie with some people, so I'm very excited.
Cool. All right, so let's go around the room and give a quick opinion. And since we have a guest, I'm gonna start with you, Alaska. What did you think overall?
I loved it, man. It was the funniest movie of the year.
All right. Rod, what did you think?
Well, y'all know I wasn't on the second one. I was on that first one. And the first one had me like, what did I just watch? So I knew what to expect going in this because I watched the second one before I, went to the movies to see this one. So I guess I'll give a little background on that too if y'all want me to, like how I felt about that one. But this one, nah, man, it's something, man. Yeah, I get what Alaska's saying though. It's like it's more like funny than like scary. It's not even like a scary thing. It's just like a what? So yeah,
It's almost like Itchy and Scratchy on The Simpsons.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's a good example. So it's just like it's not scary. It's just like, yo, they really did that, So, but I'm sure we're gonna get into all of that. But nah, man, I think they got something special with this Art the Clown. Man. They really do.
Ken, you agree with that or?
Yeah, I do. I actually really enjoyed it. I had a good time watching it, and definitely as the film went on, spent a lot of moments laughing out loud in the theater. I think I was like one of the few that were laughing out loud, except for one part. But no, I had a good time. I really enjoyed it. I like where they're going and how they're actually doing it. I think it's really interesting.
Did you go to South Lake?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I went to a theater that had some black folks in it.
Mm-hmm.
And man, the whole time they look, I don't even know these people. They just looking at me like I don't know if they've ever seen a terrifying film, but it didn't seem like they wasn't expecting that. They wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah, I share y'all sentiments. I really enjoyed it. I was definitely laughing a lot. Like Ken, I was actually literally the only person laughing. So it was one of those things where I was like, I don't know if people just wandered in here thinking this was going to be something else, but there was only 4 other people in the theater with me.
Oh, wow.
I saw it about a couple hours ago, and yeah, I am pretty certain they weren't feeling it at all. But yeah, I loved it. I do have some gripes. They don't really talk about any of these things later, so I'll just get them out the way. I'm perfectly okay with a slasher film having zero plot. That's fine that's more than fine with me. Just show me people getting fucked up. But I feel like with the second movie, they chose to insert a plot. And I think I might be getting a little bit frustrated that this plot is not moving forward at all. Like, we still don't know. And if they didn't want to tell us who Art the Clown is, that's fine. I don't really care. I wouldn't have cared, but they
You went mute.
I don't know why that just happened. I think
Art.
muted.
Yeah,
like,
Art.
I don't want to hear this shit. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Overall, I really enjoyed it, but I kind of now we have to wait for a 4th film, and it's starting to frustrate me just a little bit. But that's my only gripe. Everything else, A1 for this one.
Interesting.
I feel the sentiment there. I kind of like how they're doing it. It's interesting, just dropping these nuggets here and there, but now we have to wait a whole fourth film, and they are definitely ensuring they'll get a fourth one. And
Oh yeah.
it's that's why I was saying it's an interesting way to go about telling a story by giving you these hints of this other thing, but never really going into the other thing and building this curiosity. At some point, they will need to delve into what in the hell is going on with these two characters. So, but yeah, it's an interesting thing. I mean, it sort of reminds me of, I know I feel like I mentioned this a lot, but comics would do this where they'll drop this little panel in and then they'll move on to something else. It gives me that sort of vibe, MCU sort of vibes as well. I don't know how long they'll be able to continue it, but it's an interesting approach to telling a movie and developing a franchise.
I'm kind of with Ken there. Regarding the plot, because like y'all know that was my gripe with the first one. I'm like, what is going on? Like y'all just doing this just for shits and giggles or whatever. And I'm just like, cool story, but like, what's the story? You know what I mean? So when I saw the second one, I was like, all right, cool. They put a little bit more production behind it, a little more intention and plot, and I was just like, okay, cool. I can rock with this. I had some slight issues with that one as well, but I'm with Ken as far as like it's not moving a plot along in a traditional sense, which I think it's interesting for a film like this. So I don't know. It is some intrigue there, especially if they want to continue it down the road. Like it's like, okay, will we get something deeper next time? Will we figure out a little bit more? So I do kind of like it more than I like that first one, where it didn't have any plot at all from my understanding. So yeah, I'm okay with just a little bit of plot.
Yeah, I thought there was a decent amount of plot. Like, it felt like there was a spot in the middle where it kind of jumped from him blowing up everybody in the mall to suddenly being at the college. Like there was something that was missing there. But I think, they have tied in enough with like the demons and hell. Like my understanding is Victoria and the little pale girl are the same entity. That's like kind of trying to have this biblical war. I heard somebody compare it to Star Wars, where the second one was A New Hope, and this is the Empire Strikes Back, where like it ended up all's lost, everything's horrible, and how's Sienna going to come out on the other side?
Yeah, that completely makes sense. I think what was kind of annoying me is we jump into this film and already the little girl's gone. Like she's not in the film at all. And I was like, okay, what the fuck? Where is she at? It's almost giving me
on General Hospital.
She what?
She's in Port Charles on General Hospital.
Is she really?
Yeah, she's an actress on General Hospital now.
Wow.
Oh, so she's like, I don't have time for this fucking Terrifier bullshit. I'm making real money.
I also think she's like 4 years older now, so she's like an 18-year-old kid. It would probably be hard to do that.
Yeah, I was just a little bit, and we'll get into the bulk of the film, but yeah, I was just a little bit worried that they're flying by the seat of their pants, that they don't really have a plan, and they're just dropping random shit and just being like, as long as we have Art fucking people up, who cares? Who cares who the dad is? Who cares what's going on with this random other family that we just found? Now we have a hole in the ground that leads to some other dimension. As long as Art's fucking people up, it's fine. But that's kind of how I feel, though. I'm not gonna bitch too much because we got some really, really, really good kills. So getting into it, what did y'all think about how it opened with that first family being slaughtered? Ken, I'm gonna start with you.
You know what? I liked it, but one thing, I wonder what happened to the little girl at the end, but I liked it. I think it was a good way to kind of reintroduce us to Art, show that he's out and about and creating terror. I was wondering if this was going to be a Christmas film. And I think I got my answer as the movie went along, but the kills were good. But I think the thing that really sold it for me was when he killed the boy, because horror movies typically stay away from children. At least that used to be the thing. So when he went up there and hacked that boy up to pieces, I was like, all right, y'all are sticking to what you came here to do, and I appreciate that. I don't know why they didn't show us with the girl, but I guess we can we know what happened with her. So, but yeah, no, it was a good reintroduction to art.
Yeah, I agree, man.
Oh, Rod, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I'll ask him to go.
Oh yeah, I mean I agree. I loved it. I thought I would love to know how they tie into things if they do it all. And maybe if the little girl's still around, that'll show us something. But it might have just been like, let's have some gratuitous kills. The sound design on those axe swings was crazy. It sounded so hard when everybody got hit. Like I felt it in my chest every single time it hit. And it kind of took. I don't know if you all saw the All Hallows Eve movie with him.
Mm-hmm.
It took me back to that, like the little the story that they were holding the videos together with at the end he killed the two kids that the woman was babysitting, and they showed them like, you know, completely dismembered all over the bedroom. Kind of had that vibe to it.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of Alaska and Ken's points. Like it's Ken as far as like when he killed that boy, it was like, oh shit, he really did hack him up. And then like what Alaska was saying about the sound design in that well, just the sound design overall, but just it was really good. It was really good the way it sounded. Like I was just like, wow, like this is like if you didn't see it, just hearing it was impactful, right? Like you didn't even have to see it; it just sounded crazy. You know what I mean? So, and then like when he went in the room and was chopping up the husband, like when she still was asleep, and then having the mother go and witness her son chopped up, like it's like, yo, like you like especially as a parent, you know what I'm saying? Like I can just imagine how devastating that is. Like I'm surprised she didn't pass out. So it's just like, you know, yeah, it's just like, wow, they really are going there. They really getting into the shits very early. So nah, man, it opened up perfectly in my opinion.
She was like, fuck that kid, bro. That's why she ain't passed out. She didn't want any of that.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think it started off really well. I think it kicked off exactly how it needed to kick off. Here's art fucking people up. That's what we need. That's what we need to see.
That final axe hit to her head was crazy too. The way her face looked.
Oh
Got
yeah.
hit with that axe. Oh my god.
Yes.
And then this fool sat down and ate the cookies, bro.
Bro, when he hit her in the stomach with the fucking axe and then threw her across the room I cried. It's like, what the fuck? This dude is crazy. But this was a really good way to start. I didn't need to see him chop up the little girl. I like how, you know, he finds her and then the scene ends with, you know, it focuses on the axe for a very long time. So it's like, oh, we know what he did. We know he chopped up that punk ass little girl who couldn't fucking be quiet under the goddamn sink. She should have shut the fuck up, you know. But yeah, so then it goes back to where we left off with the last film, and a cop finds Art's headless body, and the headless body jumps up and kills the cop, which led to a scene that I busted out laughing. Again, nobody else laughed, but when he was holding that damn cop's head on his neck, I was crying. Laska, what did you think of this one?
It was so good. The facial expression on the head while he was holding it, was unreal. It really killed me. Same thing. I died laughing.
Oh man! At first I thought he had attached it, but and I was like, oh wow, he's just really just holding the head there so it won't look as weird. You're walking around headless. I was like, this motherfucker is crazy, man. Like, they're really creative with this. Like, who thinks like to think of to do that in a horde, like have a headless person just walking around with a head on, like that's not actually attached to make it seem like it's normal. Like that's wild. That's wild.
It is, and you know when we first saw that cop where he was scared. He did not want to be there. As soon as he was like, "Yo, when is backup gonna get
right?
What's the ETA? Because I'm not trying to deal with this." But when they showed the subway, I was like, I swear, if this dude had put this black man's head on his body and walked in this subway, bro, I'm a holler. And I did laugh. I laughed at that one too, Mike. And I'm like, bro, that's a different type of blackface, bro.
It
I
is.
ain't seen that.
Black Ed. Yeah, that
Black
shit wasn't
Ed.
right. That shit wasn't right.
Yeah,
But
that was crazy.
but
That was
Ken,
super
when
crazy.
we see Art's head being reanimated by him feeding on that nurse, how did you feel about this whole scene where they were fucking up those orderlies?
I liked it, but I was a little bit confused because I didn't remember. So the head kind of grew. It was growing.
She
Or
gave
did
birth to it. Remember?
But it was the same size as that. I thought it was a baby.
It looked like it was the same
Okay,
size. But she was
okay.
like licking it at the end of the last film.
Okay. All right. Yeah. At this point, I was like, dang, I should have went back and rewatched the first one. But no, I liked it, man, because that orderly came through, and he was scared, and once again, the brutality of Art was still on full display. But we also got a chance to see it from this other character as well when she was on scene, how messed up she was, and what was she saying? Help me, and then she kind of switched her voice. I thought all that was dope.
You agree, Alaska?
Yeah, without question. I mean, the joy he had eating the face was crazy. And then I'm always happy to see Chris Jericho get fucked up.
Same.
Yeah.
Rod, were you surprised
Yes.
when Victoria killed herself in the bathtub?
Was I surprised? Are we skipping to that?
Well, we gotta, because we have a certain amount of time.
I got you. Yeah. So when she killed herself in the bathtub, I didn't know she was real. I didn't know if she was actually killing herself, like was gonna actually bleed out. You talking about that moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't sure what was happening here. I didn't understand why they were just going to this house and just pretty much settling there. So I didn't know what was going on there. Like he sat in that chair and then she got in the tub. I was like, what was the point of that? That confused me. That was one of the confusing parts of the movie to me. I didn't understand what was going on in that moment.
So I'm glad you said that. So Alaska or Rod, jump in. That actually confused me a bit either. And I don't even know if there really is a reasoning for it. But yeah, I was wondering too why they just kind of went and just hung out and just kind of hibernated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no idea. It seemed like it almost felt like they both just were getting home from a busy day of work.
Yeah.
You just had like that real like mom and dad got home from work. Mom's going to take a bath. Dad's going to sit down and fall asleep in front of the TV. Like it had that vibe to it, and then it was 5 years later.
Yeah. I was a bit confused when we jumped 5 years later and Art has all the cobwebs and all that. I was like, well, what just happened? But I think again, this is one of those things where it's like the filmmaker doesn't really feel the need to fill us in on this type of shit. It's just like, who cares? Who cares?
I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, it's funny. We're gonna do what the fuck we want. You're gonna sit here and you're gonna deal with it. But we find out that Sienna has been committed, but she's getting out and she's going to live with her aunt, uncle, and niece. Ken, what did you think of that family?
Well, initially I thought maybe, because do we know how long she was committed in there?
I guess we could assume she said on and off for 5 years. I think that's what she said.
So I was wondering, because I was confused by the other part too, and I was wondering if he or they were actually in this suspended sort of animation waiting on her to get out, but at the same time, it's Art and this person, like they could just go in there and just kill everybody. So that didn't make sense as we went along, but I don't know. Maybe we'll get an answer, maybe we won't. But the family, we knew they were going to be eventually turning to victims. Again, I was just trying to catch up to where we are in present day. Who are these people, and why? What's the relation to her? And clearly, they are disturbed by her. We saw when they were sitting around the table, looking at her all side-eyed and looking into each other as she was in there talking. Well, she wasn't talking to them, but you can clearly see she was off, and they were definitely bothered by that. So that's what I thought in regards to the family.
Yeah, my first thought was like, oh, they good as dead. They are good as dead. I could just the setup. You just knew that I didn't know how they were gonna die, but I knew they were. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the family. I mean, it's just extended family. After tragic loss of her mother and stuff like that, so she had to go live with her aunt. Right, that was her aunt
Yeah.
and
Um,
uncle. Yeah,
mhm.
so yeah, that made sense for story wise. That would be the next move. I mean, because I'm sure she's not working to be able to sustain on her own, with her brother or whatever. So yeah, it made sense for her to go live with someone else, with another family member.
And I just realized I called it her niece. That's a cousin. I get
Yeah.
all that shit mixed up all the time because I got fucking many of them. But Alaska, were you feeling the family, or were you just like, cool? I'm just here to see y'all die.
I mean, I was there to see them die, but I liked them. Like I feel like they were a
Mhm.
nice response to the mom, who was just a nightmare.
Yeah.
The second one, she just was
Yep.
awful. I thought they were like they did enough to make you like them, and like even the dad who was like, "Yo, why is this crazy woman in my house?" I could imagine like if my wife's sister's kid who was all fucked up came and lived with us, and I was like, "Why do we have this fucking maniac in our house?" Like, I would get it. So I thought they were all really nice. Like I liked them all.
Yeah, I dug the family too. And the main thing I noticed is they fucking stepped up on the acting because we
Yeah.
finally got some some decent actors in this film. We'll get to one person that did not step up acting, but before we get to him, the sanitation workers. I'm gonna ask Alaska this. How did you feel about the murder of the sanitation workers? And was Victoria foul for getting her nut off while homie was getting chopped up?
She was crazy foul. I like that they unzippered dude. That was crazy. um, I don't even remember the first guy how he died. Like I think he just got stabbed in the neck, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. With the other one where he just like Christmas wrapped, unwrapped that dude was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one thoroughly. I mean, I've been cut with a box cutter before, and
same.
it's not fun, but
Mhm.
especially I can't even imagine being cut that slowly with a box cutter.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Ken, did you cringe?
No, I didn't cringe, but I mean, I think if it's like a horror movie thing because you're like, man, what are you doing? Why are you being so stupid right now? And that's what they were doing. Like you see this guy and you're like all in his face and looking at him. At both of them were being real idiotic, but he's waving in front of him like, yo, are you alive? And they're tapping him on his head. No wonder you got your ass killed. You woke him up. So, but yeah, I think it was, yeah, it was a good, they were good kills though. At least the guy that got ripped apart.
Yeah, the dude that got ripped apart was incredible, but it was Victoria fucking nutting
Bruh.
like that.
yeah, that was a bit
Bruh.
much, man.
No, it was great.
Yep.
I was cracking up. I was like, who thinks of this shit?
That
Who
was
thinks
crazy.
of this shit? You didn't like it, Rod?
That was crazy. That's all I'm gonna say. I was like, yo,
With
what?
glass, bro.
With glass. Like, what are we doing?
Hey man,
Like,
that's
but
what you gotta
like I
do.
said, they go there. With this movie, it's just like, well, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Mhm.
They're gonna do something like shock value. Like it's about shock value. Like she really, I'm like, is she about to do what I think she's about to do?
Mhm.
Oh my God, she's doing it. It's like, wow. Like that's one
Yeah,
of
I
those
was
moments where they were like turning and looking at me like, what
Man.
am I watching?
And she
Yeah.
gave the satisfied sigh after she was done.
Yeah,
too.
she
I was like, y'all really added these subtle details. I was like, really? You didn't have to do that. Like, we got the picture, but at the same time, I was like, dude, that shit is great.
and
That
then
shit is
Art's
great.
reaction, bro.
Yeah, he was. Oh god.
There were so many
funny.
times where Art was making faces about her. He was like, it always just looked like he was like, this bitch.
yeah, yeah,
Again with your shit.
Yeah.
yeah. That's
So
what I
we
was
were
confused
speaking
about
about
too. I didn't understand their relationship like that. Like why he would. I was like Alaska said, like he does look frustrated with her sometimes. Like what are you doing? Like the nerve of him asking her, like, what are you doing? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like Yeah.
that was that was part of my gripe that I had,
okay.
which is like,
Mhm.
in the first one we just see Art running around wrecking people. In the second one we see Art is kind of teamed up with this little girl, but it never explained who the little girl is. And then with this one, he's teamed up with Victoria more so. And I would really, at this point, since y'all are forcing this connection, I would really like to know what's happening with these two. But at the same time, if they don't explain it, I think I'm okay too, as long as this shit is still entertaining.
Yeah.
So Victoria and the little girl aren't the same person?
I think they're the same entity.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I thought that entity entered Victoria or something like that. I thought that was.
The thing I thought was that she was like fighting it a little bit, and that's why they had maybe why she killed herself, because the entity can't fully take grasp until it's somebody that's dead. Because like the little girl was somebody that Art killed.
Right.
Like remember, I don't know if you remember like the notebook that Sienna's dad had. There was like the whole story about that little girl being found killed at the fairground.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah. So
I guess what could have worked is if they maybe showed the entity leaving the little, because it's just like the little girl just went away because she was at the end of the last film, and then with this movie it's like she's just nowhere.
But the little girl, I didn't think she was actually. I thought she was like a figment, not a figment of his imagination, but I thought only Art could see her, because when they were in the laundromat and he was doing like this, he was doing it to the air. The guy that was looking, he couldn't see the little girl.
But Jonathan could, remember?
Huh?
Yeah, Jonathan and Sienna could
see her, and Sienna could see her.
Yeah, I thought maybe because they were attached to this whole situation somehow, you know what I'm saying? But just normal people, because obviously they aren't normal, and we haven't gotten that story as to why they're not normal. But so I thought like just everyday people couldn't see the little girl until she got the body into the body of Veronica or whatever. So I always, because she tried to get the body of the other the girl, the main girl.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? I think we tried to get it. Oh, okay,
yeah.
I mean, maybe she needed a power up. Maybe like the little kid only had so much energy because it was a kid, and then Victoria was like a full grown adult.
Well, I just took it that she needed to take human form or whatever, so she used Veronica as the human form. So I always thought that the little girl was inside of Veronica. That's why you see the yellow eyes on Veronica sometimes. So that's how I tied it together. And I'm assuming Art was the same type of situation where he took over someone's body or whatever and just kind of stayed in that body. So I just think that the little girl was doing the same thing with Veronica, and for whatever reason she wanted to get out of Veronica and into the new girl.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, it's like, well, what's the point of the entity even appearing as this little girl? You know what I'm saying? Like, why could you just pick it? Huh?
Go ahead. Because we have to see what as the viewer, we have to see what the entity. Well, we don't have to, but we'll be able to identify and associate that when that entity enters into someone.
No, what I'm saying is the entity could have appeared as anything. So if the whole thing is revolving around it needing a human form, then why is it even appearing to us, Art, Sienna, and Jonathan as this little girl that Art killed before? It could appear as anything.
I mean, it could be because Art, like when Art saw her for the first time, he had just died, right? So he had just transformed from being like a human to being whatever entity he is now.
Right.
So maybe he needed something that he remembered, which was like based off of like the stories that kid might have been like his first kill or whatever.
Okay, I like that.
That's kind of the way I always took it, like as to why that was the form. I can't explain why it changed form, but
yeah. Appearing as her, because he seemed like he was shook the first time he sees her.
Yeah.
In the laundromat. So yeah, I always assumed that little girl had a very particular, piece of his memory. I just didn't understand the whole changing, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We got some more we got some really tight deaths, so it doesn't really make a difference Okay. So let's jump to this. We talked about Jonathan a little bit. He is actually appearing in school. For a minute, I thought they were just going to leave Jonathan out too. I was like, y'all just going to act like Jonathan didn't fucking exist. But I think it's more so because he can't fucking act for shit. And he is just as bad, if not worse, in this film. Were any of you happy to see Jonathan back?
Not really.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, only as a vehicle to get us to that chainsaw.
Facts. Facts. Okay, so
He was pretty bad in the second one. Like I said, I wasn't on that review, but yeah, when I saw that movie, I was like, yeah, he's pretty bad.
I think
I was
he's
surprised
worse
he still
than
had the
this, man.
same little ass voice that he has. Like I was surprised. I'm like, why is he still saying this nigga? He didn't mature at all. Like what is going on?
Yeah,
Like,
that was annoying.
I listened to that actor's music today for the first time. It's not good.
You listen to what?
That actor's music. He's a musician. Yeah, he just straight up rips off Elliott Smith, but with that voice.
No way.
You know, dead ass.
wow.
I'll send you the link if you want to hear it. It's awful.
I didn't know he was a musician.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh, I
God.
gotta hear this.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go check this out because he can't be worse as a musician as he is an actor. Because when he was throwing his little temper tantrum, I was like, get this little fucker the fuck out of here, man. If y'all don't kill him today, I'm really gonna be irritated. But let's get to the good shit. Alaska.
Yes.
When Art was fucking with those people in the bar, one of those people including Ron Howard's weird looking brother.
Clint.
What did you think about these kills, and what did you think about Art's new weapon?
I loved it. I appreciate that he brought back the gun, like, and just did it with the same, like, you know, the same way he killed off gosh, I'm blanking on her name from the first one, but you know, just took her out quick. Took those two guys out quick. I feel like there was a lot of like, I'm coming at like the best kills in horror history. Like that's the Jason kill from Jason X, right? Like he dipped that woman's face in the nitrogen and then smashed it. Yeah. So I feel like there's a bit of that, like the chainsaw coming after Leatherface, like he's coming after everybody. I loved it. I went with my daughter, and
Awesome.
she's a huge Terrifier fan. But 2 years ago, she had like a lab table fall on her hand when she was in science class, and it fucked up her hands bad. Like she had to get like, you know, she's fine, but she was like, there's too much hand trauma. So that was like the only thing, because he froze the hands and started smashing it with the mallet. But I thought it was brilliant. I love that, you know, the face, shoved the carrot right in the dude's face, the bad animatronics with that and everything. It was so good.
Yeah, him tearing the beard off was one of my favorite things. But
yeah.
But y'all go ahead. What did y'all think of it, Ken and Rod? Whoever wants to go.
Ken haven't really said much in a minute, so
go ahead,
like,
Ken.
You knew what was gonna happen. They didn't, of course, and I thought it was going to be immediate. But I liked how he just went in there and just basically hung out with him.
Made friends.
Yeah. And the bartender looked like he was like, nah. Something off with this dude. But he eventually kind of settled in. But he was waiting. He was waiting for a moment to kind of get at him. And when he drunk that beer and he pissed on that dude, bro.
I loved it. Oh God. I was cracking. I was like, what is he doing? Because you hear it first. You hear it first, and then it zooms in, and Art's just smiling. Why are you peeing on him?
Right. Because nothing makes you more infuriated than somebody peeing on you, bro. Like,
that's true.
Right, because it's such a natural, like all of us probably would have been like, what in the entire fuck? Why are you pissing on me? Until you realize this motherfucker's a serial killer. And then all is forgiven. But by then it's too late, bro. But that, man, and yeah, the liquid nitrogen, that shit was gruesome. But yeah, no, it was some pretty good kills after that. But the pissing, bro, that shit was crazy. I did not see that coming.
Nobody did, but Art.
Yeah.
He's such an asshole.
Oh my God, that shit was so funny. That shit was so funny. Yeah, I like how he brought back the gun as well, because I like how he just took out those other two dudes in like half a second, just blah,
Yeah.
blah, and then he took his time with the main guy. And yes, the beard shit just fucking took me out. But it
Because
tries
remember,
to-
because he said you're not a real Santa if you don't have the beard.
you don't have a beard. Yep. Oh my god, Art's funny. He's already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh Jesus. So it tries to insert a little bit of drama here, Rod. And how did you feel about how Jonathan played Sienna? And do you think Sienna was right to go off on his roommate's girl who was trying to get like a story? She's like an amateur journalist. Or did you even care about any of this?
It was like one of the weaker storylines in the movie, I think. But you said he played Sienna. What happened? What did he say?
She asked him to like come back to the aunt and uncle's house, and he was just like, "Oh well, I can't because I'm going to a party."
Oh yeah. This didn't really intrigue me. But I mean, like we did get some good kills like later on out of this whole
We did.
storyline though, for sure. So I was more interested in that part.
And another subliminal at the true crime podcaster kill for Halloween 2018.
Wait, what did he say?
What's
I
that?
missed it.
Because the true, like in Halloween 2018, the first kills that Michael Myers has are the two true crime podcasters he finds at the rest stop.
Oh,
wow.
right.
There's mad little subliminal, so all the other horror people in this one.
I didn't catch that because I fucking hate Halloween. I didn't catch that.
Neither
That's
did I.
good.
Yeah, I didn't either. Yeah, that's a good one though, because we watched that one and we reviewed it, I believe, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I think we did actually, didn't we?
I thought
think
we
so.
did.
But I did a rewatch on them a while ago. But yeah, I thought we watched that one, or reviewed it at least.
Well,
Mhm.
this is when it gets kind of interesting, and I want to get your opinion, Alaska. What did you think of the convo between Sienna and Jonathan when they were talking about the demons and how the demons enter our world? I actually found this kind of interesting.
I thought it was. I mean, I think that's sort of where the little bits of plot came into it. Like, it kind of made the sense. Like that's what kind of drew it all to me, where it's like the demons jumping into the other bodies with like Victoria, and it's just like it's a path to get to like the strongest entity.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like that's why she wanted Sienna and tried to get Sienna at the end, because Sienna was like, it's almost like Palpatine with Anakin. Like he wanted a pure Anakin, didn't get it, and now they're going after like a stronger version of Luke, but in this case Sienna.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Did you like any of this, Ken or Rod?
I feel like I need to. I did, but again, it was just like they just threw a little bit in there.
Did it move too fast?
Not really, because
Okay.
up to this point, we didn't get anything at all. I feel like so.
Right.
I felt like this was going to be the introduction to whatever it was we left off with in Terrifier 2. And I was like, okay, now we're going to get into the story about who these people are. Because they were having a conversation with the daughter and the dad as well. So I was like, okay, now we're going to start tying things in. Towards the second half of the film. And we kind of really didn't. But, they gave us enough to use as the discussion point for Terrifier 4. So,
all right. Well, yeah, I found all this pretty interesting, that they were talking about how they enter our world through someone that's recently deceased. But I also like how they were talking about how, because I know there was some discussion with the last film as to if Art is actually Sienna and Jonathan's dad. But they kind of got rid of that with this movie, because they talked about how there has to be someone that's on the opposite that's strong enough to fight Art.
Yeah.
And we find out that is Sienna. So I actually did think that it was this whole idea of Sienna's dad preparing her for this battle. I thought that was pretty interesting. Now, are they going to explain any of that? Probably not at this point, but just that little nugget, I was like, okay, this is actually really interesting. But Rod, what'd you think of the scene in the mall with the kids? Since you said you love to see horror movies where kids get fucked up.
For the record, I do not love to see that. But nah, man, like again, just this movie being ballsy enough to do that. I mean, we saw a little bit of that, like I said, in the beginning with the little boy, and it's just like they took it all the way there with the kids, and it's just like the setup. The setup is always great. Like just like in the bar, he befriends these guys and then kills them. He gives these kids all of these toys and they're happy. You know what I'm saying? All is well, just to in the end blow all of them up. It's like this. I mean, he really is a psychopath. Like for real. Like you really are genuinely look happy to be handing out gifts as Santa Claus. Like you genuinely on one end look very happy and excited, and genuinely want to see them die. Like it's so crazy. But nah, I thought it was like that was cool that they actually went there and just like blew up all those kids. I was like, man, like they really like I don't like to do something like that in this day and age, in this culture or whatever. It's just like, man, it's very, very ballsy. And I was just like, man, like I don't know how they're getting away with this. I don't know how. Like I don't know many people that are taking these risks and these chances with movies. Like, man, they are going there for real.
Ken, did you like seeing them kids get blown up?
Absolutely. Because I did not expect them to come back and do it again. But when he came around and sat down, I was like, what the hell is he going to do? And how, like, is he really going to kill the kids? Art is a murderer. This is what he does. But, you know, he can't just, I mean, he can, but I didn't see him brutally murdering kids, like hacking them up and all of that sort of thing. So I was really intrigued by how they did this and the way they just kind of stayed there for a minute. And all these kids just getting in his lap and they think this is real Santa. He's bloody and all this other stuff. And I was also thinking about like parents and adults, how much of an assholes we can be and think we can bully and push people around as well. They had no idea what was about to happen. They just see this guy and it was like, oh, what are you doing? Get the fuck out of here, and just start mistreating him. And he's just sitting there just waiting for the moment. And all these kids, like Rob was saying, they were opening these gifts and they were happy. And this one girl running around and this one kid, this is why you need to be, I should show this to my son. It was like, see, this is why when I tell you to come here, you need to come here and don't wait to open this damn thing because this can happen. And just blew everything up. My jaw dropped when this happened. I was like, oh my God, he just blew up all of these kids. We saw what, 1, 2 in a possible or 2. I did not think he was just going to blow up a whole mall full of damn kids opening presents. Jesus Christ, bro.
Yeah, that was crazy.
This guy.
Yeah, it was special. You don't get to see stuff like that in a lot of movies.
No.
Yeah, horror movies tend to shy away from actually showing kids get fucked up.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not a parent. I get it to a degree, but at the same time, I also understand I'm walking into a fucking horror movie. Just like I don't particularly like to see animals get chopped up, but it's a horror movie. I'm not going to cry about it. But for some reason, I would much rather see a kid get fucked up than an animal. So seeing a bunch of kids get blown up, I'm like, God damn. They seemed like be kind of decent kids. Like they weren't little bastards and shit. They were just like, oh, presents.
They're just kids, yeah.
It was kind of crazy thing about this whole movie. The only person that was really a dick was the bartender.
Yep.
And that mom, that was like, "What's up with this guy scaring my kids?"
Well, in the
journalist, like a pack of Newports a day.
The little journalist girl, she was kind of a shithead, so I was cool.
Oh yeah, a little bit, yeah.
God, I want to get to that part. Okay, so speaking of the mall, so Sienna has a panic attack when she hears about this mall attack, and she knows it's Art because she sees Art, or she thinks she sees Art in the mall earlier in the film. And even though Jonathan didn't believe her when she tried to tell him, he agrees to come stay with them. But let's get to some of the best shit of this whole film. And Ken, I'm gonna start with you. What did you think about how Art did Jonathan's roommate and his girlfriend?
Probably one of the best things I've seen in a minute. Very brutal. When he went in and this guy, bro, he chainsawed his leg so he couldn't run and just left him there while he hacked up the podcaster brutally. And it's almost like, I think and she was still alive. Like he kills people to the brink of death and let them sit there and just suffer in pain. Same thing happened with the guy at the bar with the liquid night. He was still alive.
Yeah.
But man, when you look, when he got to the guy, I did like when he tried to run and his leg fell off too. Reminded me a little bit of Hostel.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not expect to see a chainsaw going up the ass though, bro. that was something I never in my life thought I would see on this planet. But that shit, I was like, yo, this is crazy. And I mean, and everything else they did. But I think the thing that got me, again, another part, I was like, you know, after all was said and done, and I'll let you guys get some of the other part that was funny and interesting too. But when he was sitting there in his joy of what he did, and we had the music, Terrified Christmas, which answered my story. I was like, oh, this is a Christmas movie. And when I was like, he better not do the damn angel. And he did the damn angel. I was like, God damn, this motherfucker is crazy, bro. A blood angel, bro. That's insane.
You knew he was gonna do it. It was just right there. It had to. It was right there for the taking. Right there. But no, it was, man. Very gruesome scene. I mean, it's just like one of those things, like, you like, oh man, I would hate to die that way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like somebody going like splitting where it's already split, just splitting it more. You know what I mean? Like with a chainsaw. It's like, you know, you think of, you know, like of some things like that, and it's like, yo, they're really doing that. Like, it's like they really sat down. They're sitting around in a room. It's like, okay, what can we do? Like, you know what I'm saying, to make this gruesome than anything that anybody else has ever seen. And then and they execute it. And again, sound design in these moments. Because I think you actually hear him like screaming as he's still, he's like, oh. You're like, it's just like, yo. It's like, oh,
that chainsaw sounded so mean too. It just sounded like, oh, it was like in your soul.
This was easily my favorite kill of the whole film.
Man.
I don't think it gets much better than, because the second I saw him crawling and his little skinny booty, I was like, oh, he's gonna fuck him in the ass with the chainsaw. He's absolutely gonna fuck him in the ass with the chainsaw. And it made me so angry that Spike bitched out of seeing this film. Because even though I hate the pause shit, it drives me nuts. But the first thing I thought when I saw it was Spike's face in the theater. Oh, pause! Pause! Like, you can't pause that, Spike. It's a chainsaw in the asshole. You just have to rock with that. And when he flipped him over, did you expect to see dick and balls getting chopped up?
Man,
I mean, it happened in the last one.
Oh, just the tip guy.
With just the tip.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, but that was not with the chainsaw. It lingered too.
It did.
It did linger. I was like, wow.
It did.
Yeah. I was like, you're seeing everything. Right, all taint and everything. Yeah, it was wild. I mean, it was, you know, I think it was like the response to people being like, yo, he only does that stuff to women. He was like, all right,
thing. Yep.
Let's go. I thought it was great where, like, right before she died, she's like, I would love to look him in the eye just to know what that terror is like. And he was like, hey, took off the glasses right in her face.
Oh,
Put the glasses on her and, like, tapped her nose, like, boink. Like, this guy is insane. He's so nuts.
Yep, I had the exact same thought because I don't know if you've seen this shit, Alaska, but for the past like month, there's just been this group of people that just seem to hate the fact that this movie exists or that this franchise exists, and they just go on Twitter and they fucking cry about it. And they're just like, oh, it's just gore. Why do y'all like this? And then there was like this whole thing of the movies are all misogynistic because he kills men, sure, but the way he kills women is different. And I was like, well, I never thought about it, but sure, I guess that can be misogynistic. It's not my place to determine what is and isn't misogynistic, but I thought the exact same thing because people whined about the vagina splitting scene in the first one. So I was like, this is a response to that. He's like, oh, y'all cried about me splitting this woman in half. Well, I'm gonna show you cutting this motherfucker's asshole up, flipping him over, showing his dick all in your face, and I'm gonna chop that up too. So I like
hot dog style.
Yep. But this is after he chopped the woman's boobs off. So it was like, all right, well, I mean, Art is an opportunity type of dude, man. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with you, Alaska. What did you think of the scene between Sienna's dad, like the little flashback scene?
I thought it was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go. What? Like, was this the question I had? Was this him seeing the future? Was this her dream, or was this like both of them seeing the future? What did you take from it?
I took it that she was dreaming about what happened, and he saw the future. Like something happened in his brain where it was like everything was zapped into his head, and he knew that he had to prepare her for this.
Yeah.
And that was just like, he was like, shit, this is what's going to happen. I got to get her ready. I got to get her this sword. I got to make sure that we stop this because she's the only one. Because Jonathan's bitch ass ain't going to do it.
Hell no.
With his long neck.
Hell no.
He does have a long ass graph neck.
Looks like Jar Jar Binks.
Ken, what did you think of this part?
It's almost, it's like she just more questions. Like here we go with her being this hero or this figure that he was talking about earlier when she was calling him out on only drawing male superheroes. He was like, oh, here's his character that I drew, and tying that into this whole entity that we've been dealing with. And once again, I thought we were gonna go more into what we're dealing with overall, but we didn't. It's just another breadcrumb that they're giving us to theorize with, in between movies. But and it seemed to last for a while. But I think that's when they did like flashbacks or flash forwards of everything that was going on. She was having visions or something. Okay.
Yeah, it looked like he was having the visions when he was handing her the paper of the drawing. So and I also think that was also the filmmaker's shot at these people claiming misogyny, because he's like, towards the in the other flashback, she calls him out on not drawing any women, and he shows a woman, but it's like a big breasted woman, and she's getting she's being carried by a man. And then later on, she brings it up again, and she's like, you promised you draw a woman, and then he draws the hero of the film. So I think that's also his kind of fuck you to the people that are complaining about this.
Yeah, and those real quick, those type of female characters in comics have been a subject of conversation for a while.
Yeah, of course.
So I thought that when they did that, I thought about that too.
And those are always like the two counter narratives for each other with horror movies also, right? It's always like horror movies are misogynistic, but it's always like, well, it's actually this empowered woman that always saves the day and survives and kills the killer, right? So it's like that whole sort of like argument that's been happening since Psycho. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought about that too, because the final girl thing is a thing in horror, but I also, to a degree, I understand the complaints. I feel like there's just one of those things where it's like you kind of walk into something and you just kind of accept what it is.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to accept what it is, you just don't walk into it. Like I would never go to a Dave Chappelle show and then cry about hearing transphobic jokes. I know what I'm going to get there, so I'm just not going to fucking go. I'm just gonna stay home, you know. So I kind of look at horror movies the same way. There's a certain thing you're going to get. If you can turn your, you know, your sensibilities off for a little while and maybe ignore some of it, you know, if you can walk into a Tarantino film and hear nigger 85 times in the film, it is what it is. But you don't go to a Tarantino film and then be like, damn it, it was that 83rd Nick that just, I couldn't do it. You know, it's like, no, man, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So just don't go. So, yeah, Rod, did you like those, the way they did those flash forward scenes, or did they seem a little amateurish to you?
It was fine for the film. Like I said, I was like you at first. Like it didn't really do much for the plot. I was looking for a little bit more. But when Ken opened up about how he liked the nugget thing, I was like, okay, you know what? I think I do actually like that as well. So I just kind of settled on that. I wasn't really looking into any in the way they did the flash forward. It didn't really. I'm not expecting much when it comes to that type of stuff with this film.
I'm with you 100%, but I saw people complaining about it, and I was like, "Are y'all serious?
Yeah,
Are you serious?" It's like going into a Blueface album and being like, "He's not lyrical enough." Like, come on, dude.
Right.
Like, I like the choppy ass editing. I was like, it makes it feel like a throwback horror film. Like, I don't know what y'all want. You want fucking Scorsese doing this shit? Like, chill out.
Right.
But yeah. So let's jump to Art and Victoria getting in the house. So at this point, what's happened is Jonathan has agreed to come home. The uncle, who I thought I had his name written down, but I don't, and I don't know if any of y'all remember his name.
Greg.
That's
Greg,
it.
yeah.
Greg. Yep. Greg.
It's the most 1970s name ever.
What is it?
It's the most 1970s name ever.
This is a boring ass Greg. Greg Johnson.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Greg goes to get Jonathan, and while he's there getting Jonathan, we're seeing these, you know, the Sienna flashbacks and all that. But Sienna goes downstairs because she thinks she hears Greg and Jessica talking about her, and it turns out it's Art and Victoria. And after Art whoops Sienna's ass, he ties her up. And Rod, how did you like the scene with Art and Victoria torturing Sienna and Jessica? That was her name, right? Jessica? Yeah. That was her name.
Oh no, this is good. I'm trying to remember exactly what he was.
He has them both tied up, and you see something in the middle that we clearly know is a head. We just don't know whose head it is.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was a head, and then Greg's body was hanging up. But I was trying to remember what they were doing to them specifically. Like,
so they're not doing anything to Sienna yet. They have her tied up.
Oh, okay,
Jessica, they stick a tube down her throat.
That's right.
And they make the rats go kind of like what we see on Game of Thrones. They make the rats go into her stomach.
Yes. Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. And just to slit her throat to let the rats out, and they shaking off the blood. like, yo, just the little details like that. Like, you just did this just to let the rats out and just shake off. They shake off blood when they get out. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, that was wild. That was wild. And it made Sienna watch it. You know what I'm saying? It made her watch it. And she was horrified. Like, she was just like, oh my God. Like, yeah.
But you know what? Before I get to you, Alaska, you know what from what you just said, Rod, I like that they made her watch because they explained why.
Yeah.
And I thought that was dope. Yeah. Like if she breaks, then she'll accept the entity.
Yeah.
Which we can assume that-that's why it came into Victoria, because Victoria was hot and she saw her face and was just like, I'm done. All my friends are dead.
Defeated.
I give up.
Just defeated.
Yeah, just defeated. Yeah. So I thought that was dope that they made her watch, because it didn't click until the end of the scene. But Alaska, did you dig this?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and the fact that he took the mallet to the tube with like 4 heavy strikes just to like knock it back further was crazy. Like, that mallet just looked so used and old. Like, it's definitely one of those like circus mallets where you hit the test of strength.
Mm-hmm.
One of those joints. Yeah, it was crazy. I expected it to actually be a little like worse for Jessica than it actually was. Like they were merciful to her to like slice her throat and let those things out instead of
True.
work their way through her.
Yeah.
It was definitely wild. It was like they're so creative with the way they kill people. And the whole time, isn't Art like decorating the tree with the intestines and the
Yep.
head is on top of the tree and he's like,
Yep.
look at the head. And he kept smacking her in the back of the head every time he walked by her.
Oh my god.
Before I sent it to Ken, I was going to bring that part up because I was hollering. He did it like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, like just like he's her little sister.
That's so disrespectful.
It was. It was. Like that's just in itself is just disrespectful. Like, why are you slapping her?
It was unnecessary. Why are you doing that? She's tied up. Why are you being a dick? Oh my god. Ken, did anything about this scene jump out to you?
That was the. I did not expect him to slap her on the back of the head, bro. I laughed out loud because it was so random. But I loved it, and I don't know if that was improv or scripted or whatever. But it was by far probably about my second favorite moment in the film. And then the double back. But when all of it happened, because it felt like they moved a little fast for me, because I didn't think that, because they were already there and he was already chopped up and nailed to the wall and stuff like that. So I thought she was like having another vision or something, or having a vision, and I didn't think any of this was real until until it was. What I thought was really interesting and so fucked up is that when she revealed the head and she was like, "Oh, that's what, Gabby?"
That's Gabby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Gabby, but she died thinking that was Gabby, and she never
my
knew the
God.
truth. Bro, how fucked up is that? Like she never knows that her daughter was still alive. I was like, but again, we have seen them mutilating and killing kids throughout this film. So when it happened, I was like, nah, I don't think that's Gabby. That they wouldn't just do that.
Yep. I didn't
But
know.
at the same time, I was like, dang, bro, I think that is Gabby because they have already killed kids before. So what's to stop them from doing that and not showing us? It kind of fits within what it was doing. But it turned out to be her brother.
And he put the little glasses on him and shit.
Yep. Yep. That shit was foul, dude.
Bro, yeah.
But do you guys think it actually was her brother? Like the old horror movie, like if you don't see a body, they're not dead.
I think it was because when Greg went to go pick him up, whatever the voice that was coming through sounded off. Like,
Well, yeah, it wasn't. It was Victoria.
right. So I figured that they must have already killed Jonathan. Now, I did think it was weird that they wouldn't show it,
Exactly.
but if they showed it, then that scene wouldn't have had the impact. So I'm assuming it was Jonathan, but I would not be surprised if in the next one, Jonathan's bitch ass pops up again.
Being all salty about shit.
Right, crying and whining again. It's like, dude, shut up. Jesus Christ. So Gabby is there. We see that she's still alive, and she stalls Art and Victoria by kind of like doing the little kid thing and being like, well, I wanted Sienna to open my gift. And they decide to let her do that. So the gift ends up being the sword. We knew that because we saw Sienna digging it up earlier. But this leads to the epic final showdown. Alaska, was this final showdown what you wanted to see? It was a fight between the sword and the chainsaw.
I enjoyed the hell out of it. I don't think it was as epic as the fight in part 2. Like the fight in part 2 was just nuts. Like Art took crazy damage. She took crazy damage. I thought it was cool. Like, there was an additional peril happening in the distance because she had already killed Victoria at that time, right? And the blood was coming down.
Yeah.
And we see that the floor is getting ready to melt.
Yep.
So there was like those two like elements of tension there. But yeah, I mean, Art the Clown with the Chainsaw is the scariest thing in the world. So it was great. I have probably zero complaints about this movie. It's like it should win every Oscar. It should sweep the Academy Awards. Um, yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I think it ended. The fight was it was great. I got no complaints.
For a hot second, I was annoyed as shit with this fight because I was like, he just smashed her hands. How the fuck is she holding the sword and fighting? But then when we see at the end, she has healing. She has a healing factor. So I was like, okay. Because for like a minute, I was like, oh, they're shitting on the ending. The ending is falling apart because this makes no sense. But they brought it home, and I was like, okay, cool, great. Now I'm perfectly happy with this ending. You know, but yeah, Rod, did you like the way that the fight ended?
Yeah, I even like leading up to it when she put the crown of thorns on her head again.
Oh right, yeah.
Sound design when it was putting it on her head, it just sounded like it was actually digging into her skull. So I thought that was cool. And obviously, I'm sure they're doing like some sort of Jesus depiction parallel thing or whatever, especially with the hands. Yeah, her being a savior, especially with the hands being hurt and then healed and things like that. So yeah, I'm sure that the next one is probably going to be Terrifier in Hell or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm guessing that's probably where Gabby went to hell or something like that, and then she's gonna have to go to hell to get her.
And Jesus did go to hell at some point.
So yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen in the next one or whatever. Because what wasn't it a Jason movie where he goes to hell or Freddy goes to hell?
Freddy goes to hell.
Freddy goes to hell. Yeah,
Jason
goes to hell.
Jason goes to hell.
Yeah, Freddy dragged Jason to hell.
Yeah, that's right.
His
hand comes up and grabs the mask. Yeah.
So they're definitely gonna do that with Terrifier. I think they're definitely gonna do like a hell version of Terrifier or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, no, I thought it was good, man. I thought it was good. It was. I'm with you, Mike. It did look like they were like kind of like shitting on the ending a little bit, but no, it came back around and made up or whatnot.
You agree with that, Ken?
Yeah, I had the same questions that you had during the fight with her holding the sword. Even the part where the kid was like, "Oh, you didn't get to open my presents," and they let her open the present. I'm like, I don't know about that. But they did it in their Terrifier way because they smashed her hands. so it was like, yeah, we're gonna let you open it but we're gonna make it painful. So I was like, okay, you know what? That's kind of dope. Like that's dope that they did that. So they stuck to the script. But yeah, the fight was cool. You know, her fighting him with the chainsaw. And no one really kind of having the upper hand, but when he hit her ass with that damn hammer in the stomach, bro.
Oh, that was funny.
Oh my god! I was like, golly. He did a number on her for real. And but yeah, no, it was a good fight.
Yeah, so I agree. I thought the fight was great. One of my favorite parts of the film, again, it was a small thing, but Art had sliced her stomach earlier. And when they were fighting and Art leaned over and bit her where the cut was, I don't know why, but I was laughing until my side hurt. That is the most immature, juvenile shit you can do. Why you biting? And then he body slammed her afterwards.
Yes.
I was dying. Oh my god! I do agree that this fight wasn't as epic as the second movie, but I like this one more because it was so childish. It was like two little kids on a playground fighting. Oh my god! I fucking loved it, man. I loved this ending, but yeah, it ends. We see that Gabby has fallen into hell or wherever. We see that Sienna can heal her hands because she cut her hands with the sword. Because I was like, why are you using the fucking sword?
Bruh.
That was dumb as fuck. But I guess that was just to illustrate so we can see later on that her hands heal. I thought that the scene on her knees where she's taking the crown off, I thought that was a beautifully
Yeah.
created scene because it just illustrates that she's giving up, that she's just like, maybe I'm not this savior. And she takes the thing off and she drops it down. But yeah, then we see that Art is still alive. He's waiting on the bus. And this clearly shows that we are going to get a Terrifier 4.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask around the horn anyway. I'm going to start with you, Alaska. Are you here for Terrifier 4?
5, 6, 7, and 8. Yeah. All of them. I love that the book that the woman was reading on the train was called Ninth Circle, which is a throwback to the All Hallows Eve. The first short is called Ninth Circle, where they go into hell.
Oh,
it's,
so yeah.
Art the Clown. He sort of, even to the point where like he honks the horn at her like he was doing in that movie. I also just anytime I would watch a whole movie of Art on mass transit. Where he had the dude's head, where he had his head duct taped to his neck earlier on. It was just everything was great. This movie was fantastic, man.
I didn't catch the Ninth Circle book thing. For some reason, I was thinking of that old movie. I think it's that. Is it Johnny Depp?
Yeah, Ninth Gate or something like that.
Ninth Gate. I think
that's what I was. Yeah,
that popped in my head. I didn't even think of because I haven't watched All Hallows Eve in a long time. But that's actually a really good catch. Rod, Terrifier 4. Are you in it?
Well, y'all know I don't get as much enjoyment out of these type of movies as y'all or whatever. So like, yeah, I just respect it as a filmmaker. You know what I'm saying? How they, direction and how they do these things and how they're like, gutsy enough to go with some of the things that they do. So I really appreciate it as an artist or whatever. I don't get much enjoyment out of it. Like how y'all say y'all was laughing and things like that. I wasn't laughing. I was just like, oh my God. I was just like, yo, like it was just like shocking to me. It was more shock than enjoyment or whatever. So just for shock factor, just to kind of see what they do creatively, yes, I'm here for it to see what they're gonna do with these films. So it's not from an enjoyment standpoint for me. It's more so from like, yo, I'm just really curious to see like what the hell are they gonna do next? Like, you know what I mean? So that's the perspective that I'm coming from when I watch these movies or whatnot. I'm not gonna get enjoyment out of seeing kids getting blown up. I'm just not. I'm just not gonna see. I'm just not.
Ken, you trying to see part 4?
Definitely, man. I'm all on board. I think going back to where we opened with this discussion, we need answers now. At least that's where I'm at. You don't drag this thing out. You done gave us 2 movies of teasers. Now let's go there. And if she's in this hell, then now is a good time to kind of fill in those gaps, and they don't have to give the whole story, but you got to give us a little more than what you've given, since you want to kind of build this out. So that was the one thing that I was left with. I like the fact that it ended the way it ended, because oftentimes you see them be a hero. So I like that there was failure there.
Yep.
And it is leading to a 4th one. And now I just want to know what's going on between all of this. I want some answers now. And I think the other thing is, how do they keep outdoing themselves or matching what they've already done? So how creative will they be in 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8? As Alaska was saying. So yeah, but I'm all here for it, man. I think when I was watching it, I was like, man, he has to be one of the best horror villains or whatever we've had in a very long time.
Yeah.
And I'll be curious to have a discussion at a later date on where he would rank. Because we're 3 films in now. I think that's enough to rank him somewhere, among the ones that we've already had. So yeah.
I agree with that. At this point, I feel like Art is iconic. Again, the only people that I hear crying and whining about Art are the people that only like quote unquote elevated horror. You know, if it
Yeah.
doesn't have some fucking socio-political message behind it, they're just like, I don't want to see this. Same people that call fucking movies like Parasite horror movies, and it's like, shut the fuck up, dude.
They sounded like Jonathan talk, Mike.
Yes, they all. Every time I read their tweets, I hear Jonathan's voice. That fucking squeaky ass little light ass voice. You don't shut your light voice ass the fuck up. But yeah, man. I really enjoyed this movie. I'm all for them making more of these. I am torn with the whole plot thing because this is still one of my favorite films I've seen this year. But the plot thing still does irk me just a little bit, but it's not enough to knock this movie down any pegs. Right. Because I'm still curious to see where they're going with it. And even if they're just throwing shit against the wall to see if it sticks, I'm having fun. I'm having a fucking blast with these films. 2 hours, and it felt like a half hour because I was in the theater like, yo, I'm crying, I'm laughing. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this, but yeah, I guess we'll end it there. Towards the beginning of the pod, I just realized that I didn't really give any sort of background for Alaska. I was gonna let him introduce, of course, the podcast that he's a part of, but I think because we talk so frequently, even though I've been listening to him rap for like 20 years, I didn't even think like, oh, maybe some of our listeners might not be familiar. So Alaska, if you want to tell people where they can find you from a rapper's aspect and from a podcaster's aspect.
Sure. So as a rapper, I have a Bandcamp set up. It's That Rapper Alaska at bandcamp.com. I have a new record out with Steel Tip Dove called Reverberations of a Dead Man's Ego. And I'm also one of the hosts on the Call Out Culture podcast.
Yep. And if y'all want to go check that album out, you should. And then you should go watch the video where I discuss the album. And also in the same video, it has a little bit on Ka. And rest in peace, Ka. And yeah, so make sure you go check out everything Alaska's got going on. Make sure you stick with us. Share this with as many friends as you can. This is how we get bigger. And thank you, Alaska, for coming through and sharing some horror knowledge because you caught hella shit that I fucking missed. So you were very valued here.
Well, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Place you, Mike.
He about to take my job, y'all.
Take your job. Thought you was the horror guy, man.
And we would be diverse at that point. You know, we finally have a non-black person on the show.
Right.
You know, now we get all that DEI money. Yeah, man. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, we will see y'all next time. We out. Peace.
Right. Peace.
The Frames Per Second podcast.